So, after deciding that I didn't want to end the game, I went back to the shady land of the Shady Woods, and look at this, there's another door. King Door, he's bloody made all sorts of doors. It's like the king practically worked at B&Q or something, just making doors. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, there's a big castle, and I went in, and I had a bit of a sad moment where that lady with the funny mask who I'd seen about a few times, she'd obviously turned to a red phantom. She, you know, I think that's my favourite recurring theme of Dark Souls, actually, is people being aware that they're losing their minds and they're losing their grip on everything, and that they are going to turn. And the inevitability of that. I like that a lot. But anyway, yeah, killed her, and then went into the room, and this big stupid dragon kind of launched its head at me, which was unexpected. Tried to block it with my shield, didn't pan out at all. And at the top of this room, I discovered another bloody giant big frog man. I very much thought it wasn't doing anything, and so I dashed past it just to check if that would. And I kind of thought that maybe it might be an NPC, so I tried to go and talk to it. That didn't. No, that was a bad idea. Very bad idea. Then after a brief jaunt through Laboratoire Garnier, or whatever this place is, these guys have got cool faces. They've got marbles for faces. They're like marbles with wigs. I like them. But then I got to another boss. It was a big dragon. I initially went in with as a summon, because I still haven't managed to find any bloody human effigies, so I got summoned in. What a cool boss. What a cool boss. I mean, I like the area in between as well, as when you get to the end of it. There's just a brilliant kind of vista view. I'll show you that in a minute, but what an amazing boss. I actually enjoyed doing this co-op so much that I decided to bring in a buddy with me, because I've done lots of one-on-one bosses recently, and I kind of just thought, a cool fight with a dragon. Not a terribly difficult boss, but just a lovely little set piece. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, here we go, afterwards. Beautiful. And then up a little escalator around the corner, and holy mother of... Look at that. Wonderful. Dragons. Bloody great dragons in the sky with diamonds. Really cool. I mean, very much a case of some areas of this game just shine, whereas others just don't. Others just look like they've been kind of smeared in poo. What a wonderful sequence. I must say, actually, the particularly nice was the area before I got to the dragon boss. The way I came out and had this wonderful view of the forest and the distance and all this stuff and the blue sky, lovely, was when one of the big ogre things smashed through a wall, and I panicked and had rolled behind it just because I didn't know where else to go. And it didn't hit me, but that was a wonderful moment. This exhilaration of going, oh God, and then being faced with this incredibly beautiful vista. This is when Dark Souls is at its best, of being combining surprising moments with surprisingly beautiful landscapes. Really, yeah. Wow. I'm gonna press on with floaty flying Dragonland, but really nice. Really captured my mind, this bit. Lovely. Well, haven't I been having a ball of a time on Dragon Fun Mountain? It's quite fun, this, really. Classic exploding men who knock you off cliffs. Actual, genuine, real dragons. Made with real dragons. Can't believe it, yeah. And lots and lots of those little crystally lizard bastards that give you twinkly, twinkly titanite. Twinkle, twinkle, little titanite. I've just had a Magnum ice cream. Not a Magnum, actually. It was an own brand from Sainsbury's, which I think are better, and certainly better value. Anyway, I've killed some dragons. That's a lot of fun. I've killed lots of crystal lizards. That's a lot of fun. I've also proved to be often spectacularly ineffective at trying to kill crystal lizards. That's very embarrassing. Also, I was absolutely amazed by the fact that the game allowed me to snipe a dragon. This wasn't something I worked out. This was clearly what you were supposed to do. You get on this ledge, and then you can snipe a dragon. Right, sniping a dragon. I'm stood on a ledge, firing arrows down at a dragon. And dragons are inherently quite well known for their ability to fly. And in fact, if I look up in the sky, I can see lots of dragons flying constantly. And yet this dragon is content to just let me kill it. I mean, I don't know. What? Why? Admittedly, I have much fonder memories of my first attempt to fight this dragon, which was me going for the old downward charge strike of doom. Gung ho! Obviously, it didn't pan out well for me, but I did feel like a hero. But yeah, Dragon Adventure Fun Mountain. Revenge of the Fun Dragons. It's alright. I wish I hadn't spent my Mirror Knight soul getting the Mirror Knight shield, because it looks rubbish. It looked really good in the boss fight, but that was one of those weird bits of the game that had proper lighting. What a treat. And apart from that, obviously, yeah, found a ladder. Classic bit of ladder action here. Kick the ladder, make it go down. Oh, it's the old ladder that you used for an old bonfire. Linkery doo-doos. Lovely. Dragon Mountain. What will be at the top of Dragon Mountain? I can't imagine. I bet it will be a dragon. Okay, so what have we got here? Sort of like an Anolando and Lando. You know what I mean? Bit like that. And we got big men. Initially, I got a bit lured in by these because I thought they were going to be the same as the old knights, because I saw the attack pattern. I was like, they're just reskinned old knights. They're not. They're really not. Particularly troublesome are these guys, the big mace dudes, with their improbable ability to just swing a mace around constantly without any side effects. I don't really know how to deal with them other than running. And I think I'm going to cap off today with the moment where I was given rather poor advice before a large flight of stairs. Somebody said, just run through. Looked like a good idea. Very long staircase. It's a couple of armoured dudes. I initially tentatively went up and thought, no. Went back, hung about for a bit, let them walk back to their position, let them walk back up the stairs. And then the mad dash. It's on. I'm running up the stairs. Come on. Past the first two guys, no problem at all. But then, oh dear. Yeah. Well, the problem here is the fact that you've got halfway up the stairs golden dudes in armor who run really quickly and have those bloody sickly side things. So yeah, that's smart. I like that. Looks like a classic. You've got to run past the heavy slow dudes, but then it jams you in the middle with some bloody nippy super speedy bastards. Horrible. That's good. This section is nice. I like the fact that it's got these horrible mace enemies that mess you up, that you have to run past and run away from. This feels very Dark Souls all of a sudden. It's tricking me. It's playing with me. It's pissing on my bonfire. It's smashing my coconuts. Yes. Okay. I think it's time for me to call it a day. And now we awaken on the final day, and faced with the difficulties of yesterday's exploits on the steps of doom, I did naturally, what anyone would do. I did something else. So after wandering around for a little while, I found a little ledgy exploration behind some boxes, and eventually that led me to a fight against another little red phantom dude, and then a bloody petrified dragon egg on a kind of fantastic contraption that looked a bit like a oscilloscope, or not a stethoscope, some sort of spinny thing. You know what I mean, a gyroscope. That's it, got him. Googled it, and it turns out the petrified dragon egg is a PvP thing, which can effectively fuck off. So next up on my whirlwind tour of endgame gubbins, we have the fire lizards. That's right, those cheeky little fellas that were beneath the Adventureland of the Giants. Found a way down. There's a little door next to the last giant, went through, fired some arrows at the fire lizards. Interesting bit of trivia here, for those of you who watched the whole series. Whilst jogging over to collect the goodies behind the fire lizard, I fell down this hole. And this is the first time whilst playing a game that I physically decided to bite my controller. I say decided, it was fairly involuntary. I just put it in my mouth. Don't know what was wrong with me. But it was time to man up. Climbed the stairs to the top of Dragon Castle, and in doing so, repeatedly get killed. Eventually, of course, I did manage it though, and what was at the top? It was a bloody dragon. Called it, mate. Totally called it. Dragon Castle, big dragon. Gotcha. And he talks in this sort of reversed, reverberated, nonsensical manner. I did put it through Adobe Audition to see if I could make any sense of it, but no, it's just noises. It's Twin Peaks as fuck. This though, somebody needs to make a chessboard texture mod for the flooring, and maybe like replace the skybox with a massive red curtain. Anyway, crazy Twin Peak dragon gave me an item that lets me delve into the memories of the withered. And to credit what has otherwise been a bloody insanely obscure game, I actually know what I have to do with this thing. It's those giants, isn't it? Bloody giants. And you know what? Again, called it. As mentioned in maybe the first episode of this Dark Souls diary thing, I had a feeling time travel would play a part in the game somehow. I could just felt it in my bones. And here we are, back in low saturation giant memory land, reliving the memories of times gone by. Oh, didn't chocolate biscuits used to be bigger back in those days? Maybe. But would you look at the size of that fella, eh? Hey, I was once again killed by fear in this case, to be honest, but what a marvellously over-the-top way to kick the bucket. Oh, it's actually a massive shame that this boss this massive doesn't get a better set piece, really. I mean, once you actually get close enough to him, effectively looks like you're just hacking away at a gigantic bush with legs. It's a bit of a shame, really. And at this point, I did start Googling to try and work out what the piss I was actually doing all of this for. And it turned out that the Nashandra stuff had been a bit of an inadvertent spoiler. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to see Nashandra at that point because she wouldn't have appeared in my game because I didn't have the soul of gigantic Captain Bushy Legs. So yeah, I'd only seen Nashandra because I was summoned into someone else's game. Wouldn't have happened for me. So my worries about finishing the game prematurely wouldn't have happened. But anyway, at least I was on the right track. And I decided at this point, it must have been around 11 p.m. at night, that I was going to finish the game tonight. Tonight, baby. It's going to be a Dark Souls somewhere in town. Yeah, so I decided I was going to do it tonight. And that means cutting a couple of corners, but I kind of did my classic video game bucket list and decided what am I going to achieve before I finish the game. And I decided that my bucket list was going to include killing Vendrick. Mainly because I saw the list of things you can get, and I really want either the sword or the shield that you can get from his soul. Anyway, I died repeatedly trying to kill this guy, mainly because he's not actually that complicated, but it's a simple thing of if you make a mistake, you're in a lot of trouble. He doesn't quite one-hit kill me, but it's not far off. But fire seemed to do the trick. Fire seemed to do a lot of damage to Mr. Vendrick. So I decided to go for a trip back to the blacksmith to remove the lightning effect from my Zweihander, mainly because I got so many of these bloody magical stones that I can afford to just take the lightning off for 5 minutes and then put it back on. And sure enough, after a total of far more attempts than I'd like to admit, the fiery Zweihander put an end to King Vendrick. Because, yeah, it allowed me to remove all the magical effects and then cover it in fire for bonus damage time. And, yeah, it was actually doing mad amounts of damage to him at that point. But where were the goodies? I killed Vendrick. Where were my bloody goodies? I want his armour. It's just on the floor there. Can't I just chuck it in my backpack? But no. But using my intuition, because I thought, no, let's avoid the Googles for now. Using my intuition, I went to Drangleic Castle, to the throne room. Nada. Nothing. I still don't understand this very much. I assume it's a New Game Plus thing. And deciding to use the Google magic, I discovered, of course, that to get the soul of King Vendrick, which you don't get from killing him, of course, you have to go back to the Shrine of Amana, and it's on a small wooden chair in a cave. Sure. I mean, I suppose this is supposed to be some sort of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade thing, or something, where, of course it's not on that chair, it's on this shit chair. You didn't think it'd be on an IKEA chair, did you? God, no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, imagine if they'd actually done that with a false soul. That'd be great, wouldn't that, eh? That would have been something. But as it turns out, it's just sort of a bit weird and I've got no fucking idea what's going on. I'll be watching Varsi's videos pretty much as soon as I finish doing this. And finally, Nashandra. What a hugely disappointing final boss. I mean, death beams and combo attacks. This is video game boss by numbers stuff, really. You know, the skull texture on her dress reminds me of the Dark Fowls boss fight from Phantasy Star Online, which in itself makes me feel quite happy. But I'm not sure I can fairly attribute that to this game. I was actually far more enamoured with the boss fight prior, when faced with Beardy Git and Skull Shield Lady, two independent enemies that kept me on my toes, despite the fact their movesets were actually fairly limited. While Nashandra, much like the Dark Fowls boss fight from PSO, didn't seem terribly able to stop me from simply moving a distance away and having a cheeky heal. There's very little sense of intensity, very little sense of claustrophobia here. And compared to the intensity of the duel with Gwyn at the finale of the original Dark Souls, Nashandra is a bit of a damp and floppy squib. But hey ho, that's life, babe. You can't always have the apples that you want. Sometimes you've got to have other apples. And I've probably got more beef with the half-baked finale that sees you wandering into a giant clay vagina and sitting on a throne before the credits roll. And again, it's more about the journey than the destination. And while it might not be a classic, I've certainly had fun with Dark Souls 2. Over the next few weeks, I'll be toying about with New Game Plus, and I will be putting together a more condensed and more in-depth video about my thoughts about the game in a sort of critique fashion. Thank you very much for joining me on this 10-part series of me being basically an idiot repeatedly in Dark Souls 2, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I probably won't be kicking off immediately with another series, because as discussed on my weekly update videos for the Patreon things, series things can be very time consuming and actually prevent me from doing more good stuff. But I will be doing another series in a similar fashion in the future. If you have enjoyed this series, then please do share it with your grandma and get her to rate and review on iTunes. Bye!